This is the Qtv Nightly News, which is also on Q Radio 103.3 FM, and I am Jacqueline Coley. Thank you for joining us. Here are the headlines. As many young Gambians grapple with concerns over jobs and education, among other matters, National Assembly members signed the Youth Politician Social Contract with youth representatives following a meeting on Saturday. At the just-ended 9th Evidence to Action Conference in Accra, Ghana, Fabakary Tombong-Jatta, the Speaker of the Gambia's National Assembly, called on African legislators to embrace evidence-based policymaking. With pilgrims not long returned from the annual Hajj pilgrimage in Mecca, we look at some of the key challenges experienced by pilgrims during Hajj. In international news, we hear from Sierra Leone how some young people are under pressure to succeed academically, provide financially, and become the family's source of pride. In sports news, DR Congo may yet make it to the knockout round of the World Cup. However, for many fans back home, in the Ebola hit it's all turned a bit flat. Restrictions mean they cannot enjoy the big games as they had hoped. Those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. For many young Gambians, concerns over jobs, education, electricity, healthcare, and the rising cost of living are part of everyday life. On Saturday, those concerns were brought to the same table with the people elected to represent them, as National Assembly members signed the Youth Politician Social Contract with youth representatives. Julian Jai reports.
It was a meeting built on one simple idea: bringing young people and lawmakers closer through dialogue and shared responsibility. The Youth Politician Social Contract, organized by Gambia Participates, brought National Assembly members, youth representatives, and civil society together to formalize their commitment to addressing issues affecting young people and their communities. The initiative follows last year's constituency assemblies, where members of the National Assembly met with constituents across the country to listen to their concerns and discuss development priorities. Opening the ceremony, the Program Officer of Gambia Participates, Ansumana Sise, described the social contract as a step towards strengthening trust between elected representatives and the young people they serve. He said the agreement creates a framework for accountability while encouraging young people to remain actively engaged in democratic processes.
Across our communities, young people continue to raise concern about unemployment, limited economic opportunities. Many struggle with unreliable electricity supply that affects their businesses, livelihoods, and educational opportunities. There are also growing calls for greater transparency, stronger public accountability, and effective anti-corruption measures, as well as electoral integrity. These concerns are not simply youth issues, they are national development issues. They require leadership, commitment, and collaboration. At Gambia Participates, we believe that democracy should not begin and end on election day. Democracy is strongest when citizens have opportunities to continuously engage with their leaders, influence public decisions, and hold duty bearers accountable for commitments made in their name.
The commitments outlined in the agreement cover employment, education, healthcare, electricity, infrastructure development, electoral integrity, and the fight against corruption, issues repeatedly raised by young people during consultations. Beyond the signing ceremony, participants took part in a panel discussion on the theme, "What do young people expect from political leadership?" and putting the Gambia first. A key highlight of the event is an open town hall where young people question lawmakers, shared experiences from their communities, and discuss possible solutions. While the signatures marked the day's highlight, many participants said the real measure of success will be whether the commitments made are reflected in policies and improvements that young Gambians can see and experience. Reporting for QTV News, I am Julden Yai.
The Speaker of the Gambia's National Assembly, Fabakary Tombong-Jatta, has called on African legislators to embrace evidence-based policymaking as a foundation for sustainable development. Speaker Jatta made the call in Accra, Ghana, where he delivered the opening goodwill message at the 9th Evidence to Action Conference, setting the tone for 3 days of discussions on strengthening evidence-informed governance across the continent. More in this report by Ade Darami.
Held at the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research at the University of Ghana, the 9th Evidence to Action Conference brought together parliamentarians, researchers, policymakers, development partners and governance experts from across Africa. Under the theme, Reimagining the Evidence-Informed Policy and Decision-Making Ecosystem in Africa, the participants examined how research, data and innovation can better inform public policy and improve development outcomes. Speaker Fabakary Tombong Jatta had the honour of delivering the conference's first goodwill message, where he urged African parliamentarians to strengthen their use of research and evidence in their legislative work. He said the continent's growing challenges and social transformation require decisions that are informed by credible data and the lived experiences of citizens.
We are building the infrastructure necessary to translate complex data sets into actionable policy insights. Honorable Deputy Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot talk about sustainable development without talking about political stability. Throughout our continent, we see that instability often stems from a sense of exclusion and the failure of government to deliver services. Evidence-informed policymaking is a tool for peace. When a citizen sees that a school was built in a certain region because data showed a high literacy gap and not because of political favoritism, trust in democratic institutions is restored. Accountability fueled by transparent data is the best defense against corruption and the surest path to national cohesion.
Over the 3-day conference, delegates explored Africa's evidence ecosystem, the systems needed to strengthen evidence for policy and practice, and the reforms required to build an Africa-led evidence-to-action framework. The sessions focused on improving collaboration between researchers and policymakers, strengthening parliamentary research services, promoting digital tools for data analysis, and ensuring that public policies are grounded in reliable evidence. For the Gambia, Speaker Jatta's participation highlighted the National Assembly's commitment to promoting informed legislation and governance that responds to the realities and aspirations of the Gambian people. The 9th Evidence to Action Conference concluded with renewed calls for stronger partnerships between governments, research institutions and development actors to ensure evidence remains at the centre of policy making across Africa. For QTV News, I am Ade Darami.
The annual Hajj pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia is one of the world's largest religious gatherings, drawing millions of Muslims from different countries each year. While the pilgrimage represents a profound spiritual journey and the fulfillment of the 5th pillar of Islam, it also comes with a range of challenges. Babakar Sise recently returned from the Hajj, reports on some of the key challenges experienced by pilgrims during Hajj.
Every year, millions of Muslims travel to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina to perform Hajj. However, alongside the spiritual rewards come numerous challenges that test pilgrims physically, emotionally, and mentally throughout the sacred journey. One of the most significant challenges is the extreme heat. Temperatures during the Hajj season can exceed 45 degrees Celsius, exposing pilgrims to the risk of dehydration, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Many pilgrims struggle to cope with the intense weather conditions despite efforts by Saudi authorities to provide water stations, cooling facilities, mist fans, and shaded areas along major pilgrimage routes. The large concentration of pilgrims within a relatively limited area presents significant challenges, particularly during key rituals in Mina, Arafat, Muzdalifah, as well as during Tawaf around the Holy Kaaba and the Sa'i between Safa and Marwa. The prevalence of common colds and other respiratory infections increased significantly due to close contact among millions of people from different countries. Pilgrims with chronic illnesses such as diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and respiratory conditions must carefully manage their health while participating in physically demanding rituals. Food and dietary adjustments can also be difficult. Pilgrims often encounter unfamiliar cuisines and meal schedules that differ from what they are accustomed to at home. Some experience digestive discomfort while adapting to new foods and eating routines. Accommodation presents its own set of obstacles. Many pilgrims stay in high-rise buildings, and some experience confusion when using elevators and rolling staircases for the first time. Others struggle to remember room numbers or use electric swipe cards to gain access to their rooms, particularly after long and tiring days of worship. Navigational difficulties are common throughout the pilgrimage. Wheelchair users face additional difficulties maneuvering through crowded areas, especially during peak periods when movement becomes slow and restricted. With thousands of similar-looking tents, hotels, and buildings, pilgrims can easily become lost or separated from their groups. Language barriers often compound the problem, making it difficult to seek directions or communicate with officials and fellow pilgrims. In places like Mina, Arafat, and Muzdalifah, long queues for toilet facilities become a major challenge due to millions of pilgrims converging in the same location on the same days. Historical site visits in Mecca and Medina, though spiritually enriching, can also be exhausting because of extensive walking and prolonged exposure to heat. Financial constraints may also arise as some pilgrims spend significant amounts of money shopping for clothes, gifts, and other items for themselves and family members. Despite these challenges, pilgrims continue to demonstrate remarkable resilience and determination. For most pilgrims, the hardship endured during Hajj becomes an integral part of the spiritual experience, strengthening their faith and leaving them with lifelong memories of devotion, sacrifice, perseverance, and gratitude to Allah. Babakar Sise, QTV News.
We'll now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more national, international, and sports news stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Qtv News and I am Jacqueline Colley. Here are the rest of tonight's stories. The Ecowas Committee of Permanent Representatives, including those from the Gambia, has concluded a 3-day retreat in Cotonou, Benin, focused on shaping the future of regional integration. Ambassadors reviewed a draft pact for the future of regional integration and later visited the facilities of the West African Power Tool. Here is our report by Joel Denjai.
I want to warmly commend the theme of this year's meeting, the Ecowas Compact on the Future of Regional Integration, reflections on the role of the Permanent Representatives Committee in the future of Ecowas. West Africa's future is not one of decline, but of possibility if we act with courage, unity, and moral clarity. End of quote. It is therefore imperative that this retreat focuses on how, together, we can reflect on building an ECOWAS that is agile, responsive, and capable of delivering tangible benefits to over 400 million citizens that we serve.
That was Her Excellency Damtin Chinchibija, the Vice President of the ECOWAS Commission, on behalf of His Excellency Dr. Omar Aliou Touré, President of the ECOWAS Commission, setting the stage for the discussions that followed. The retreat brought together ambassadors from ECOWAS member states, senior Commission officials, and representatives of the government of Benin to review a draft pact that aims to redefine regional integration for the coming decades. Described as a fundamental reset of the West African integration project, the proposed pact seeks to transform ECOWAS into what leaders described as an ECOWAS of the people, in line with the organization's Vision 2050. The event was attended by Ambassador Frank Armel Afoku, Secretary General representing the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Benin, His Excellency Julius Sunday, Ambassador of Sierra Leone and Chair of COREP, the ambassadors who are members of PRC, technical directors and other key personnel from the Ecowas Commission. The document is the outcome of consultations with experts, civil society, professional groups and the West African diaspora. Permanent representatives examined the draft and proposed amendments before it is submitted to heads of state at a future ECOWAS summit. The pact is built around 6 priority areas, namely sustainable economic transformation, peace and democratic governance, science and innovation, youth and women, institutional reform and strengthening ECOWAS' strategic position on the global stage. As part of the program, delegates also toured the facilities of the West African Power Pool, highlighting the importance of regional energy cooperation in supporting economic integration across West Africa. Reporting for QTV News, I am Julden Yai.
Up next, we have international news. In Sierra Leone, in many homes, children grow up having more than just dreams about their future. They also have to carry heavy societal expectations. This takes the form of immense pressure to succeed academically, provide financially, as well as to become the family's source of pride. But for many young people facing unemployment and economic hardship, that pressure now comes with a serious emotional toll. CGTN's Eric Kawa reports from Freetown.
Elizabeth Abu is in her first year at Milty Magai Technical University. She's pursuing a bachelor's degree in international relations and loves cooking and creating TikTok videos in her spare time. But Elizabeth is not just expected to get good grades. Even before graduating, she's already expected to support her relatives financially.
I didn't grow up with my parents, but they know that I'm in the city and the expectations are high. You know how it is for those of us who come from the provinces to the city. Sometimes our parents think that everything is okay with us just because we live in the city. They often make requests for help with sick relatives and other family needs. They expect us to send them money. As a young girl, if I didn't have a strong mindset of my own, I might have done things that could have led me into drug abuse or prostitution. This is especially challenging because I don't have a job and I don't run a business.
Elizabeth is not alone. Many young people in Sierra Leone are facing similar challenges. For some families, one child's success could change the lives of an entire household, but the intense pressure to provide can damage family relationships.
Parents should take time to talk to their children. They shouldn't compare their children with other people's children, because if you keep comparing them, they'll go wayward. Because when you put pressure on them, that's how they'll go. They can't even come close to you.
These expectations, though often rooted in love and sacrifice, can become emotionally overwhelming, even leading to anxiety, depression, and even substance abuse. Experts say prioritizing mental health is important and can include reaching out to social support networks or participating in traditions like storytelling around the fire.
So one solution I would pose is this. Parents, no matter your socioeconomic background, having that 5-minute check-in with your child is very important. It could be over rice crust, because that's what you have in a pot in the evening. And you just ask yourselves, how are you? How was school today? That gives your child the permission to also understand that you care about them. And it gives you the permission to also be open about your own struggles.
And even after graduation, employment is far from guaranteed. Government data shows that over 120,000 young people enter the workforce each year, but only a small portion will join the formal economy. To support the country's young population, the Government Youth Empowerment Scheme aims to create 500,000 jobs by 2030 as part of its National Development Plan. As Sierra Leone's youth continue navigating unemployment, economic uncertainty, and social expectations, experts say that the conversation must move beyond success alone and focus more on emotional well-being, support systems, and creating opportunities for young people to thrive. Ecowas, CGTN, Freetown, Sierra Leone.
Next, we have a sports-related story with a twist. The Democratic Republic of Congo will be hoping to join Ghana, Morocco and South Africa in the knockout rounds. The Leopards are in their first World Cup in more than 50 years and face a do-or-die game against Uzbekistan this weekend. The World Cup was supposed to be an event of joy and unity for the country, but for communities in Ebola-hit it's all turned a bit flat. Restrictions mean they cannot enjoy the big games as they hoped. CGTN's Caroline B. now reports.
The giant screens that usually attract hundreds of sports fans in the eastern Congolese town now stand silent. This is a direct consequence of the health measures imposed to curb the spread of Ebola. It is a bitter pill for many to swallow, at a time when the Democratic Republic of Congo is competing in the World Cup, 52 years after its first and last appearance.
This decision has really upset us. This World Cup is for our generation. The generations before us didn't qualify for the World Cup, but ours did. And the fact that we can't watch the match together as a group really affects us. Before we used to watch all the matches here, lots of people would come to celebrate together, even though there are no safety measures in place. But that atmosphere really lifts our spirits.
For many fans, the World Cup has thus lost some of its magic. But faced with the health risks, some have chosen to adapt. Supporters now prefer to watch the matches on their phones rather than risk exposing themselves to large gatherings.
Everyone is scared. Everyone is scared because people are dying every day. There are deaths everywhere. That is why we must avoid contact. So by avoiding contact, you protect yourself better. When you're not in a crowd, you really have a very low chance of being infected. That is why I have decided to watch the match online using my phone so that I cannot be infected.
In some bars, authorized to admit a limited number of customers, matches are still being shown. Here, the owners insist that they are complying with the safety measures set by the country's health officials. Few supporters showed up to watch the Leopards' second match against Colombia, a match that the Congolese lost.
The safety measures were strictly observed. Before going in, our temperature was taken, so anyone who was unwell couldn't get in because the safety measures were being followed in this bar. The most important thing is to follow what the doctors tell us. It's to protect us. It's for our own good. We must protect ourselves. This disease is real. The pandemic is very much here. And also, anyone who isn't feeling well shouldn't come and put others at risk in public places like this.
Health authorities are on high alert to ensure that the strict measures are adhered to the letter, deploying law enforcement to make sure of this.
When there are gatherings, we must disperse them to prevent the spread of infection. That is why we issued a statement asking all owners of advertising hoardings and giant screens and all bar owners showing the matches to ensure that protective measures are observed. And for anyone who refuses to comply, the police are there to restore order and enforce protective measures by all legal means, whilst also raising awareness.
Caught between a passion for football and public health requirements, the people of Bunia are trying to strike a balance. In a province grappling with Ebola, even the fervor of the World Cup now must adapt to the demands of the fight against the epidemic. Caroline B., CGTN.
Before we end, here's a recap of the headlines. As many young Gambians grapple with concerns over jobs and education, among other matters, National Assembly members signed the Youth Politician Social Contract with youth representatives following a meeting on Saturday. At the just-ended 9th Evidence to Action Conference in Accra, Ghana, Fabakary Tombong Jatta, the Speaker of Gambia's National Assembly, called on African legislatures to embrace evidence-based policymaking. With pilgrims not long returned from the annual Hajj pilgrimage in Mecca, we looked at some of the key challenges experienced by pilgrims during Hajj. In international news, we heard from Sierra Leone how young people are under pressure to succeed academically, provide financially, and become the family's source of pride. In sports news, DR Congo may yet make it to the knockout round of the World Cup. However, for many fans back home, in the Ebola hit it's all turned a bit flat. Restrictions mean they cannot enjoy the big games as they hoped. That's all for this bulletin. You can join us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. for the Week in Review with Mahmoud Mboj and Ade Darame. Thanks for watching.